Hello every pony and welcome to Brony FanFics. I said I'd finish chapter 19 and I'll be darned if I don't. So, let's get straight into it. So Rainbow Dash was learning about powers and stuff and whatnot. Anyway. Well, those are all tiny little things, nothing that fancy. You sure ain't super speed or anything cool like that. Rainbow blushed. I mean, thanks for all the praise, guys, but it's no big deal. Any of the Wonderbots could do something like that. Probably better, too. Some above average doesn't make me special or nothing. It is precisely what makes you special, Gilderoy noted. You have a natural sense for the way the weather functions, far beyond that of your average, or even above average Pegasus. From powerful lightning to soft rains, great winds to freezing snows, you know what makes them all possible, what conditions must be met. And that understanding helps you to figure out ways to manipulate the weather in ways no other Pegasus can, even by your lonesome. But it is your other natural talent, your speed, that is perhaps your greatest boon. Many of the most potent forms of weather require incredible power to make possible, and proper application of your speed may yet aid you in that. Remember how you said that these Wonderbolts had special trails of their own? But when performing as a group they had something totally different. In other words, how could they manipulate that kind of trail they were leaving? Think of yourself in that way. With that right application of basic physics and aeronautics, you can create a trail of meteomancy magic of any kind. Achieving proper velocity and force is enough to cause variations in air molecules, and that is exactly the sort of thing that creates weather patterns, be it a lightning bolt or a torrent of rain. And, as a meteomancer yourself, you'd be able to manipulate them to your whim. You lost me. Rainbow scratched her head. Somewhere around the physics mark. Forgive me. I tend to forget that not every Gryphon, every pony. I really am not doing a good job of remembering that, he grumbled. I forget not every pony is able to understand the more complicated descriptions. Let's give it simple then. If you fly just right, the powers of meteomancy are at your beck and call. Rainbow appeared slightly stunned. You're saying I can create weather? And control it, like, without having any help at all? That I am, dear Miss Dash. Gilderoy smiled. As I said, the proper application of velocity and force can do wonders where weather magic is concerned. Oh man, that is so cool, Rainbow bubbled. No, beyond cool. Beyond radical or awesome or anything like that. I'm my own weather factory. She beat her wings and took flight herself, circling around the ceiling as fast as she could in her excitement, a rainbow trail following in her wake. Oh, Dashy! Oh, Dashy's going to show off her stuff! Pinky happily bounced around the others. Come on, every pony, let's give her a good cheer. Rainbow blazed a circle around the room, trailing a long rainbow behind her. She was somewhat disappointed that was all that was happening, but knew she could do more if she just opted to attempt something different than straight flying. Proper application of velocity and force, she thought, but what to try? Back at home, even when performing some of her most impressive tricks, she never noticed anything too outstanding about... No, wait, there was one. The Buccaneer Blaze. Apart from the Sonic Rainboom, it was her most incredible trick. If she did it just right, it created blue sparks of electricity like a miniature lightning storm. But that was a difficult trick to pull off in such tight quarters. In frustration, she kicked her hind legs together. A loud clap of thunder behind her drew her attention to her trail, and she was amazed to see traces of lightning sparks in it. When she performed the Buccaneer Blaze, it required her to kick her hooves sharply together during the final roll in order to maintain aerodynamics, and that was usually where the explosive effect occurred. What was the trick to it? She'd never thought of doing it during standard flight. She kicked again, harder this time, creating a greater lightning effect that snaked and twisted around her trail. That was it, Rainbow thought excitedly. Another kick as hard as she could, and the entire trail exploded into brilliant silver white light that sizzled and sparked behind her like the fiercest lightning bolt she'd ever seen. The cheers from her friends below Rainbow Dash brightened immensely. This was so cool. Woohoo! Go Dashy, you rock! Awesome! Pinky cheered. Hey Dashy, do a barrel roll! Woo! Rainbow Dash obliged, kicking herself into a wide arcing spin. At first nothing happened. Only her lightning trail seemed to be sputtering out and losing its luster, replacing itself automatically with her standard rainbow trail. But Rainbow Dash was convinced that any of her standard flight tricks, if she put in the effort, speed and focus, could provide some sort of weather effect. If encircling something really, really fast caused a tornado effect, she thought, then any sort of circular motion should be able to do it. If I just had the right speed. She grit her teeth and tightened her spin. She usually never spun this close, as it was difficult to keep her bearing straight, but she would keep it up. She had to see if she could do it. Tightened the spin some more, began spinning faster. She could hear the wind currents blasting around her, and hesitantly looking behind her to see her rainbow-coloured trail was curling around in a spiral shape. Just a little more. She tightened the spin and increased her speed. The rainbow trail began to lose colour, turning a dismal grey until suddenly a great gust of wind blasted forth, knocking her out of her spin and nearly lose control. She pulled straight again and grinning widely, as with just a little focus, the tornado trailing behind her maintained perfect integrity. Rainbow screeched to a halt, sent a fantastic burst of air shooting through the room, causing her friends below to shield their eyes and ears. She could hear their cheers, and it filled her with intense pride. Only she couldn't hear Pinkie Pie. She hastily looked down and realised she couldn't see where the pink pony had gotten to. Pinkie suddenly delivered a crushing hug to Rainbow Dash in the air. Yay, Dashy! That was totally awesome! Oh wow, that was the best air show you've ever put on. Ever! Rainbow sputtered incoherently. Pinkie? What? How are you... Wait, are you flying? Pinkie, Earth Pony's gone... Pinkie hastily interrupted with a hoof to Rainbow's lips. Remember the rules? Don't question it or I might fall. And then I'd yell out, Rainbow Dash, catch me! And you would. And that would be super great and stuff, but then I wouldn't be able to fly with you anymore. Which would be super not great. Right. Rainbow nodded. Oh man, this is so cool. We both have superpowers. She grabbed Pinkie's hooves and began circling around with her in the air as if in some sort of fancy ballroom dance. Haha, totally awesome. You and me, Pinks. We're going to make those punks think twice about messing with us. Pinkie happily giggled and let Rainbow dip and twist and drag her through the air, tumbling around together without a care in the world. Yeah, we're going to show those meanies who's boss, Dashy. No pony messes with the mare that can shoot lightning tornadoes out of her butt. Rainbow grinned. Wait, what? So, basically, Twilight said to Gilderoy back on ground level, you're saying Rainbow Dash could conceivably even create a weather event by herself that would normally take multiple Pegasi to perform, so long as she focused herself properly. Now, it truly is amazing, but if Pinkie's powers have to tie to her element somehow, what about Rainbow? What does all the weather stuff have to do with loyalty? Gilderoy nodded. Well, remember that's the one way you can tell if a friend is loyal to you is if you can always rely on them to stand at your side, to defend you and inspire you and to support you whenever you need them, and even when you don't know when you need them. Loyalty is like the wind. When it is at your back, you can travel the greatest of distances with the greatest of speeds. When it is absent, you'll stagnate into the quagmires of doubt and loneliness. So do all our powers have to do with our elements? Twilight asked. Undoubtedly, he answered. The elements of harmony you all represent are what give you your incredible strength. It takes a great deal of magic to truly harness the fundamental powers of a single attribute of harmony in such a way as you will have. It is because of that the great magic that makes you all as strong as you are, and yes, each of you has a power that is somehow tied to the element you represent. Well, if our elements are what makes us so powerful, then why are those other 6 men so powerful in turn? Twilight said, tapping a hoof to her chin. That I cannot tell you. Gilderoy shook his head sadly. It is beyond me to know how they possess such powerful magic, and unless I were able to interact with them directly, I'm afraid that I would be unable to make a very educated guess. My only theory tells me that perhaps some other powers are at work here. Maybe they are servants of Nihila. Unlikely that any one of them is her warden, as she can only maintain one warden at a time, and I certainly did not see her insignia upon any of them. But perhaps you will find out in your future encounters with them what the truth is. But that is all of little importance at the moment. It's critical that I help you all realize your potential so that you may carry on your quest. So let's move the line right along, shall we? He smiled. Miss Rarity, you're next. Perhaps, as Miss Pye and Miss Dash have done before you, you'd like to guess as to your ability as well. Well, if I may say so, I think I already have learned my superpower, as it were. Rarity boasted, striking an overly proud stylistic pose. Over the course of our travels, I've noticed I have a knack for empowering my unicorn friends, allowing them to surpass the normal levels of magic far beyond their imaginations. I'm very supportive, you understand. You surely saw how I was able to assist Twilight and TikTok in accomplishing some outstanding feats, did you not? I mean, I know it's a fundamental unicorn power, as TikTok is able to do it as well, but I just seem so much better at it, if I may be bold enough to brag. Gilderoy tapped his wand against her head, and in turn and smiled. Indeed, Miss Rarity, you have great aptitude for the art of benefication, the school of magic that deals with giving one's powers to others, allowing them to do things that are beyond their normal capabilities. It is a super school that can claim restomancy as a subclass, but you seem more inclined to utilize the benefaction fundamentals, which is perfectly acceptable. But it would appear that you are not fully aware that what you are truly capable of when using this power of yours. As I said before, all ponies have with them a force of magic, and benefaction works by empowering magic. So my logic dictates that your powers are not limited to empowering just unicorns, but capable of empowering any pony as you wish by increasing the potency of whatever sort of magic they truly apt with. As Miss Sparkle is naturally apt with magic itself, this is why she gets such a basic boost. The same goes for this TikTok friend of yours, who I have seen is quite above average as far as unicorns go. When using it on other friends, you would theoretically be able to boost their natural magics and talents in ways that are beyond their normal capacity. Miss Dash up there, for example, perhaps create a massive storm with your guidance. And that is quite generous of you to give your magic to others in such a way, is it not? He winked. Oh, how marvellous! Rarity beamed. Oh, I can't wait to see the looks on their faces when we see them next time. They won't be expecting me to be making dear Applejack into some fearless beast of a fighter now, will they? Not that you're not already good at it, darling. Speaking of me, Applejack rolled her eyes dejectedly. I suppose my power's something to do with making grass grow, Even back at home, I ain't never had much to sound too interested with. Not when every pony else's special talent is so special compared to me. So lay it on me. What kind of boring power do I got? Oh come on, Applejack. Twilight smiled. Don't say things like that. Your talent is very special, and you should be proud of it. Not many ponies can claim they have a natural aptitude with growing crops. You're a critical part of Ponyville's livelihood. That's why you're the plant team leader during the winter wrap-up. Indeed you are, darling. Why, I do believe you are responsible for the vast majority of Ponyville's food supply, if I'm not mistaken. Reggie said sincerely. That's very special if I do say so myself. That sounds all well and nice, girls, but ain't nothing impressive like what y'all got. Applejack snorted. Don't get me wrong, I'm proud of my upbringing and what I can do, but it just ain't gonna make no pony ooh and ah and all that. Whenever I go to Little Apple Bloom's spring parent meetings, I can't see the look on all them little fillies and coarse faces when Miss Cheerily asks me what my special talent is, and I gotta try and explain it. Boy, let me tell you, I sure do love apples. What kind of sorry excuse for a superpower is that? Didn't think you'd be one to care about what other ponies think of you, dear Applejack. Reddy half-smiled. Come now, darling. No need to be so hard on yourself. Your talent is very special. It ain't that, it's just, well, I'm worried that whatever he says is my speciality. I ain't gonna be able to help where we need it now. Being good with apples ain't exactly gonna help me fight off some nutcase throwing fireballs or nothing. Well, at least I can make apples explode or something. Gilderoy tapped his wand on Applejack's head and gave a light chuckle. Oh dear Miss Applejack, you sell yourself short. You do have a deep connection with the earth, that is correct, but it would seem you're not quite aware of just how deep your connection runs. Back at home it means you're talented with soil and the like, and that is why your ability to grow such robust crops is your talent. From what I can sense, you're better at just growing apples even then. You maintain all sorts of crops, isn't that right? However, as I said, you simply do not realize the extent at which your connection to the earth can go. You, my dear, are what we call a geomancer. Applejack's face went blank. What now? A geomancer, Gilderoy explained. Like how rainbow dashes might comes from manipulating weather, which is a basic Pegasus ability. Your strength lies in the fundamental power of your Earth Pony race drawn out to their extremes. In this case, the connection with the Earth and its bounty. Your magic is tied deeply to the Earth, more so than any average Earth Pony, such that you eventually can bend the ground beneath you to your will. As I said, you use this connection at home to tend to the soils that could grow any crop imaginable, in even the most impossible of circumstances. But your connection is far deeper than even that. With proper application of focus and willpower, you can call upon the might of the ground beneath your hooves, empowering you with its own strength and making you as impenetrable as the earth itself. I don't think I understand, Applejack said, removing her hat and scratching her head. Y'all mean I could, make myself as strong as a rock or something? If only I just tried hard enough? That really don't make sense to me. Essentially, yes. But the rules of geomancy are pretty plain and simple insofar as what you are limited to. Gilderoy noted, the very earth around you will serve you without question and without failure, but you can't just call upon the strength of rock if there's no rock around. If you were to walk along a sandy beach, for example, the sand would respond to your call and lend you its aid. You turn to the earth, dear Applejack, and the earth will gladly repay its debts. Well, golly, that does sound mighty interesting. Applejack smiled. I ain't really too sure what all that means, though, but I'm guessing I'll figure it out, but what's that all gonna do with honesty? Just think of it like this, Gilderoy smiled. What's the one thing in the world more honest and true than any creature? What thing is the most down to earth, as the saying goes? The earth itself, of course. Soil doesn't lie or cheat or steal, it just is. Ah, well, that's a good way of putting it. Applejack blinked. Well, I guess I'll have to figure something out. Does it work with all this here metal? That's part of the earth and all that. I mean, that's where we get the metal in the first place, ain't it? Can I use this stuff to try my stuff out like old dashes? I am sorry, but no. Gilderoy shook his head. The metal we made our home from is an artificial metal called iridium. It has no ties to the earth and would not answer to you no matter how hard you tried. Other metals, though, may indeed have such priorities and may answer your call, but mine will only do so in their natural states, untainted by tools. Once it has been crafted into something unnatural, it is no longer tied to the earth, and thus no longer to you. You could perhaps control raw clay, but if it were fashioned into a brick or statue, it is beyond your reach. This would apply to any natural metal, of course, such as iron, gold, or silver, but not artificial ones like steel. Well, shoot. Applejack kicked her hoof into the floor. Don't that beat it all? That there's all real interesting stuff. Shame I can't figure something out like Dash is doing. Rarity hummed a moment, then had an idea. Aha! I did say I would try and help you turn into a fearsome fighter, did I not, Applejack? Or perhaps there's a way I can help you demonstrate your abilities. Mr. Gilderoy, isn't there anything you can provide that may be of assistance? Gilderoy thought, then nodded in agreement. You have a keen mind, Mr. Rarity. Always thinking of others. I had not considered the thought of you assisting Miss Applejack in her endeavour. Hold on for but a moment. He leaned over his computer station and tapped a few buttons and flicked a switch or two, causing a small panel to open up on the platform. From it raised a small container holding various small hunks of gold and bright and colourful gems, obviously taken from the Goldridge Pass, as Rarity could tell just based on their lustrous quality. Gilderoy reached inside and pulled out the largest chunk of gold in the bunch, and allowed Rarity to take it from him. I regret that all I have to offer at the moment is gold, what with it being so easy to come by in these parts. While it is most luxurious metal, and very malleable and good for a great many things, it is not known for its toughness. It's quite all right, Mr. Gilderoy. Rarity smiled as she, in turn, passed it over to Applejack. This is really just for a proof of concept demonstration after all. Applejack, darling, see if you can't focus your energy from this gorgeous little hunk of gold, Like Mr. Gilderoy said, you can use more than just rock or dirt. You can use natural metal as well, correct? Well, sure, I'll give it a try. Applejack muttered. She took the chunk in her hoof and focused her mind as best as she could on calling out to it. She could hear something coming from the gold, a strange sound that was very, very faint, as if only a whisper. Applejack focused more and more, and at last gave up when nothing seemed to be happening. Am I supposed to do something special or what? She asked in disappointment. I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing. This is why I didn't think of it. Gilderoy shook his head dejectedly. That stone is too small for you to just draw any power from. Most likely. I am sorry to have gone your hopes up, dear Miss Applejack. She cannot call upon it on her own, perhaps, Rarity smirked. But with the generosity of Lady Rarity behind her, I'm sure dear Applejack will be more than capable of accomplishing such a feat. Rarity lit her horn and coated Applejack with a dim white light, glow, causing the earth pony to shudder as the odd feeling of warmth washed over her and seeped into her very spirit. Go ahead, darling, give it another try. Just focus with all your might on willing that pretty little rock to aid you. Well, all right, here I go. Applejack nodded. Again, she closed her eyes and focused her mind, as best she could, on the tiny rock. This time the sound she heard was much louder, a sort of metallic ringing, that was actually rather soothing to her ears. But try as she might, she still couldn't feel any sort of difference. Was something supposed to happen? Well, shoot, she sighed. Thanks anyway, Rarity, but... Oh, darling, you look absolutely gorgeous! Rarity cooed, clapping her hoofs together excitedly. Wow, Applejack, you look amazing! Twilight added in awe, to Applejack's surprise. What the hell are y'all talking about? Applejack blinked. Why, just take a look, darling. You're positively stunning. Rarity smiled and used her magic to generate a makeshift mirror, which she directed Applejack to gaze into. Applejack stepped forward to look into it. Stepped forward to it and looked. As her eyes widened and jaw dropped as she saw what was there in her reflection. Where once she was a simple orange, now she was a terrific brilliant gold. She touched her hoof around her chest. I was astounded to find that her coat had become solid and rough instead of being fuzzy and sleek, as had her mane and tail. Only her hat and her eyes did not shine with the same luster, quite unchanged indeed. Whoa, Nelly! Applejack gasped. Y'all weren't kidding about becoming as strong as a rock or nothing. I am rock. Well, gold, but still. Golly, this here is... wow. You look simply marvellous, dear. Rarity smiled brightly, running a hoof along Applejack's foreleg. Oh my, this is simply incredible. I wonder. She turned to Gilderoy. Would you be so kind to allow me to borrow some more of these materials, please, Mr. Gilderoy? I want to see what Applejack looks like with perhaps some other metals, or would those lovely gemstones work? That all depends on the gem, sorry to say. It's quite a complicated subject, Gilderoy explained. Remember that she can summon up the powers of earth and metal. I suppose either of you have basic understanding of chemistry, do you? Rarity and Applejack gave one another blank looks, then shook their heads. Twilight brightened up, clapping her hands together excitedly. "Oh, chemistry! One of my favourite subjects! What sort of materials can Applejack use? I'm guessing elements categorised as metal or earthy materials." "That would be correct," Gilderoy agreed. "So she would be able to utilise pure gold and iron, but also rocks which are made many elements, but fundamentally contain earthy materials such as calcium, and even semi-metals like silicon. Diamond is made entirely of carbon, which is not a metal or earthly material. Why, if she could manipulate diamond, should theoretically be able to manipulate any form of carbon as well, and that would lead to some very interesting applications, in theory, of course." "Complicated nothing," Applejack said, holding the sides of her head. "All that chemia wants is making my head hurt. Can't you simplify it a little bit?" Gilderoy chuckled. "Well, let's just say that a little trial and error will go a long way in discovering what you can and cannot manipulate. I'm not so sure what exactly will or will not work. As a scholar of magical arts, certainly, and my studies required a basic understanding of nature, but I'm no geologist. The basic rule should be that earthy or metallic substances are all very easy and possible." May we experiment with some of these lovely gems, then?" Rarity fluttered her eyelashes. "Surely some of them are made of something that dearest Applejack here can utilise." "Certainly," Gilderoy nodded, reaching into the container and fishing out a couple of multicoloured gems. Rarity eagerly took them and beckoned for Applejack to follow her. "Come along, Applejack. Let's try and figure out what else you can do, Oh, imagine yourself glowing as splendidly as a ruby, or a sparkling sapphire." "Why do I feel like I just got recruited into a fashion show?" Applejack shook her head as she trailed behind Rarity. Oh, I'd like to watch." Twilight nodded hastily as she joined them. "I bet I could help figure out which gems will and won't work." Gilderoy took steps over to Fluttershy, who had been standing alone and trying to decide who was more impressive to watch. Rainbow and Pinky still above her, still dancing about with bursts of magic and lightning and rain and sparkly fireworks, or past Rarity and Applejack, here at ground level, and now experimenting with what sorts of materials Rarity could get Applejack to turn into with a little help. Or maybe instead Gilderoy himself, who had been trying to explain everything, and now approached her with a look of sincere kindness on his face. "Dear Miss Fluttershy," Gilderoy smiled as he approached her. "You seem confused by all this." Oh no, I'm not confused, just curious." Fluttershy nodded. All my friends are so strong now. It makes me happy, but I'm just worried about myself. I don't think I have the same powers they do." "Nonsense. I'm saying you are filled with as much magic as the rest of them. I suppose you're curious as well as what magic you wield. I know I'm eager to see how your kindness is manifested." Fluttershy shuffled her hooves nervously. Well, I sort of already know my power, if that's what you want to call it. Since you never said anything about Pegasi being good with animals, and, well, I'm good with animals. I figured, "Ah, you think you're a Zulumancer, do you? Well, let's find out." He tapped his wand to her head and nodded. "Very astute of you. You are indeed a master of Zulumancy, the art of commanding and understanding animals, and a very potent one at that. Easily one of the greater ones I have ever encountered. But I'll be honest, that was a long time ago, and my memory isn't what it used to be." "You're very good with animals, though, are you not?" "Yeah, I know." Fluttershy sighed. It's not that... What's the matter, Miss Fluttershy?" he asked. "Aren't you glad that you know you can use such magic so well? I think you'd be ecstatic to know that you possess such a wonderful gift. Your friends are certainly infused with their own gifts, are manifested in such wondrous ways. Why aren't you?" "Oh, it's not that I'm not happy, it's just, how am I supposed to do any help to any pony with my power? There aren't any animals around here that respond to it, and I don't know if I want to try with one of those gargantuan creatures." "You likely wouldn't get anywhere with those things, dear. Gilderoy shook his head. These poor creatures have been thoroughly corrupted by dark magics that they're less animals now than they are monsters. I know. Fluttershy interrupted dejectedly. I'm useless. Just a dead weight for my friends to carry around. Gilderoy tapped his claw to his chin. I think I may have a solution for you. Swiveling the great chair around, he leaned over to the larger station that was equipped with a monitor and a set of buttons and switches. He pushed a few buttons rapidly, causing the screen to flicker and come to life. He hummed to himself as if searching for something, until at last he brightened up and pushed another button on the station, causing a great whirring noise to come from it. A small compartment nearby began to glow. As soon as the light flicked out and sputtered away. Gilderoy strode over to it and popped off the lid, reaching in and taking out what was inside. A tiny ornate box, which he presented to Fluttershy eagerly. Go on, my dear, open it. She opened it nervously, expecting something to jump out at her. Inside was a beautiful bracelet, the likes of which she'd never seen before, even in Rarity's exquisite collection, easily on par with the Element of Harmony necklaces. The bracelet itself was the brightest gold, made of the best Goldridge Mountains had to offer, and lavishly etched, with not hieroglyphics, but the same mysterious markings that appeared in the entryway of the sanctuary. But the most splendid thing about it was the ornate gem that sat in the dead centre. It was clearly magical in nature, as despite appearing like a plum-coloured orb, she could clearly see something inside moving about. A little white light that flitted and bounced against its crystal surroundings, with excitement as if it was alive. It hadn't been moving much when it was in the box, but the moment she reached out and touched it, the light inside went wild and circled around in its prison, eager to be free of its confines. Don't be frightened, Miss Fluttershy. I assure you, it won't hurt you. Put it on, my dear, Gilderoy encouraged gently. She gulped anxiously, and hesitantly followed his instructions, sliding the bracelet over her left hoof until it was halfway up her foreleg, where it suddenly clicked into place. As soon as it did, the crystal at the centre glowed a brilliant silvery white, and then flickered and died, leaving the bracelet with just a shiny golden band and the lovely plum-coloured gem. The others all gasped in surprise, as the bright white light from within the crystal was now outside it, encircling around Fluttershy in the form of a tiny orb of the shiniest silver light they'd ever seen. A tiny moon orbiting planet Fluttershy. To them, it was impressive, and their faces matched their awe. To Fluttershy, it was more than that. She could see so much more than they could, and it made her stare around her in shock. Beyond the orb of the tiny light, she could see them. Animals, dozens of them, no, hundreds of animals, of every different kind she could think of. Well, not living animals, but animal spirits. If the feeling she got was any indication. They all appeared a ghostly white. As she looked around, she could tell they were looking at her in turn with faces filled with curiosity and wonder, as if they'd never seen anything like her before. Some of them even began to approach her warily, all very much as if they were really there. What a beautiful gift, darling! The gold matches your coat just splendidly. Rarity clapped as she came over to watch. Isn't this just lovely, girls? This little beauty makes some of my collections look terribly low quality, if I may be frank. Oh, why don't the rest of us get such gorgeous jewellery, May we have some too, Mr. Gilderoy? She smiled, fluttering her eyes as best she could. Ha! Your desire is understandable. It is quite an exquisite piece, is it not? Gilderoy laughed. But this is no simple piece of fine jewellery, nor some useless trinket. It is a bonding bracelet, an enchanted piece of jewellery that binds the wearer to what is inside that magnificent little gem there, called a spirit stone. With it is contained a magical creature that we Gryphons did not invent or even first discover, but that we did perfect so that it may be the best it could possibly be. A spirit familiar. Fluttershy took her attention away from the gathering animals for a moment to look at the orb orbiting around her. Spirit familiar? Oh, I've heard of those, Twilight said excitedly. Some of the most powerful mages in Equestria keep one at their sides to help them with their daily activities. They're made of all sorts of magical energies, and summoning one is a lot of work. I hear they take the form of animals. I believe Starswell the Bearded had one in the form of an owl. That's all correct, and very well informed. This Starswell fellow from your world must have been quite the qualified mage indeed to have studied fundamental prey magics and have a familiar. But the familiars you speak of are nothing more than simple toys compared to this one. Gilderoy smiled. This particular familiar is one of the most carefully raised beings we've ever had the pleasure to work on, and certainly more potent than any standard issue familiar is. We call him Ophanim. He is more than an average spirit familiar, because he is not artificially created at all, though that may be a relative way of saying it. He was born from the careful cultivation of natural zealomancy magics, and thus responds as a real animal would, though this limits his handling to a zealomancer of great skill, much unlike standard spirit familiars, which tend to be classified under artificing magics in most aspects. Hence, of course, why I present this to you, Miss Fluttershy. I doubt there is, or ever will be, another creature in this world with the possibility to connect with him. He doesn't just take the form of an animal. He connects himself to the spirit of that animal and brings that animal forth into the living world, taking on its form, its mannerisms, its very heart and soul, as the northern continent is devoid of almost all animal life, thanks to the horrible gargantuans and other similar creatures. Ophanim's connection to the world of animal spirits is uniquely significant. So, he's able to talk to animal ghosts? Fluttershy gulped a little as she looked around again at the animals that were gravitating towards her amicably. You mean they're all dead? She wanted to break down and cry. All these poor animals, gone from this world because of the unnatural predators this world had created from hatred, malice, and evil. Sad to say, that is very much the case. The southern continent is not in such dire straits, but here in the north I am afraid that nature itself has fallen into the dark magics and the Hither and their minions. Apart from very, very rare sightings, the northern lands have been devoid of most animals and indeed even plant life for close to 500 years, Gilderoy said glumly. That's terrible, Fluttershy sniffed. Oh, all you poor creatures. Do not fret, Miss Fluttershy. They are at peace now, in a realm where they cannot be hurt or hunted or tainted by the horrors of the darkness. But with Ophanim's help, you can allow these creatures the chance to live again. In a way. Ophanim is a very powerful entity, filled with magic that rivals your own, but he relies on you to summon forth that power. He will bend to your every whim and serve as your intermediary between the living world and that of the spirit world, allowing you to call forth one animal of your choice to serve as your guardian, or your guide, however you wish to use them. Only one? Fluttershy blinked, looking around her again. But there's so many of them. What are you going on about, darling? Rarity asked wordly as she looked around as well. Fluttershy peeped. Oh, you can't see them, can you? See what? Rainbow blurted, having come down from up above with Pinkie Pie to see what all the fuss over Fluttershy was about. The animal spirits, I can see them all around me. Oh dear, this is what we're saving from this world from, aren't we? From becoming like this. Fear not, dear Miss Fluttershy. That is a completely natural phenomenon where this kind of magic is concerned. Animal spirits are quite unlike those of intelligent creatures, as their souls are pure. Their spirits are drawn to places or things with high concentrations of xenomancy magic. Until you arrived on this world, Ophanim's bonding bracelet was that thing, though I could not see them as I was not willing or even able to bond Ophanim to myself. However, I have no doubt that They will be drawn now to you, especially since you also travel with Ophanim. And as a creature yourself, and not just a place or a thing, it will likely be a greater ease around you than anything else. Put your mind at ease, Miss Fluttershy. Your presence soothes the spirits, I can assure you of that. Fluttershy nodded appreciatively, and looked around again at the gathered spirits, which seemed to be getting more and more numerous as time wore on. But why can't I only pick one of them? I'd feel awful if I had to, tell all the others they couldn't interact with me personally. A most unfortunate circumstance, but sadly I have little control over it. Gilderoy nodded glumly. As to why you can only choose one, spirit familiars are notoriously high maintenance. They don't like to do that much work, and changing between even its neutral form and that of your chosen animal takes a great deal of effort. Once you've chosen the animal you would like Ophanim to take, the animal will function as your guardian and serve you as if it was very much a real animal. Its spirit infused with Ophanim's magic, which will not diminish as so long as you wear that bracelet. Fluttershy looked around her and frowned. She really had to choose just one? That seemed to be such a difficult choice. There were so many different possibilities just in the relatively small gathering around her. She thought a minute about what sorts of animals might be of help to her and her friends, in keeping them safe. A wolf, perhaps, she thought. A wolf spirit clambered up to the front of the encircling animal crowd, reacting to her thoughts with enthusiasm and waggling its tail excitedly. Fluttershy smiled at the spirit. At the spirit creature, and looked around at some of the others. As she thought of the possible choices, their respective animals came forward as if presenting themselves to her, hoping in turn to attract her attention and her blessings. A great grizzly bear joined the loyal wolf, and was in turn joined by a fierce tiger, an intimidating lion, a noble falcon, and others, all of them powerful beasts that would gladly protect their new mistress, should they be given the opportunity. But Fluttershy thought sadly to herself, she had to choose one. What would happen to those she didn't choose? She was going to have to think on this. Now then, Miss Sparkle, Gilderoy turned. I saved you for last. I can sense a great deal of magic within you indeed. And there's something unique about it. I am most eager to see that my theories are correct. Well, to be fair, I think I know my power too, Twilight. Everybody says I'm really, really good with magic. Far better with it than even I myself believed. Maybe even more than Princess Celestia predicted. TikTok is always impressed by what I can do. She's supposedly seen a lot of strange magical phenomena. Heck, even Starlight claimed that if I wanted I could be her equal. I only needed to drive to tap into it, but I don't see how that's possible. What could I do to hope to fight against what she's capable of? And when she's using void magic to boot? You bring an interesting argument forth, but perhaps we'll find out exactly what you're capable of soon enough. Gilderoy tapped her head with his wand and instantly stepped back in wonder. Oh my, this is fascinating indeed. Absolutely astounding. See, I told you I carried a lot of magic, Twilight smiled. I get that reaction a lot nowadays, it seems. The amount is not what fascinates me, dear Miss Sparkle, Gilderoy said breathlessly. It's where all that power comes from. You know not what you are capable of, and I understand why Starlight Shadow claims you could be an equal. That statement is more than accurate, I believe. You, as the element of magic, wield the single most fundamental power of magical energy, in its fullest, purest, most perfect form. Your magic stems from the forces of the arcane. I should say that I find it most interesting that your cutie mark is so close in resembling Arcane's symbol for arcane magics. Well, yeah, of course, Twilight raised an eyebrow. Doesn't every unicorn's magic? Arcane is just another word for magic, after all, right? That's what I was taught in school, at least. Oh, Miss Sparkle, how gravely misinformed you are. You know so much about magic, and yet so little all the same. Gilderoy shook his head. Why, yes, the word arcane is used as a synonym for magic, in the absolute broadest of terms. I speak not of such things. I speak of the true arcane arts, those far beyond the comprehension of the average magic user. To put it simply, all ponies in general tend to draw their energies from one of two sources of magic, either the powers of light or of darkness. Your friends all possess the power of light magic, and your hearts are pure and good. That is why you're able to pass through the force field. Those other 6 seem to all possess dark magics, hence they could not pass through in your wake. That force field of yours is still working? Rainbow interjected. It's been almost 1,000 years since, you know. It had been shut down ages and ages ago, but Miss Sparkle here reactivated it the moment she passed through its border. It's a techno-magic barrier, you see, and our form of techno-magic relies on a very deep connection to arcane energies. That's why it is able to work so flawlessly. When the force field's outer boundary sensed a new power source, it restarted itself instantly. In short, Miss Sparkle here has been powering the city's force field since she arrived, and when she leaves the field it will shut down once again, and its new sources of energy gone. I have? Twilight blinked. I don't feel like I'm functioning as something's battery though. I still have all my energy and everything. I don't feel like anything's draining me. Now there's another quality unique to arcane magic. If used properly, it is nearly limitless even in the smallest of amounts. Much like void magic is. Speaking of which, the Starlight Shadow is unique in her own connection to the power of void magic, which like arcane lies outside the boundaries of the fundamentals of light and dark. Void magic is most interesting in how it reacts against arcane magic, and this is why I believe the portal from your world reacted so strangely to your attempt to seal it. Normally a chronomancer would be required. Pure magic would have been able to accomplish such a feat, if only not for the incredible properties of void and arcane magics have when put together. I have yet to ascertain the true nature of their interactions with one another, as they seem rather sporadic and inconsistent. Sometimes void magic and arcane magic clashing together does absolutely nothing, as if the spells cancelled each other out. Other times they have very hostile reactions to one another, and can cause greater damage than when alone. Either way, the two forces are fundamentally equal in the same quantities. If you are able to tap into the arcane powers the same as Starlight can with the void, you most certainly would be her equal. Well, that is what every pony's been saying, Twilight said in acknowledgement. Thank you for clarification at least. Absolutely fascinating. A fourth magical element. I'm going to have to look into this more when I get back home. I wonder if there's any research into the subject. Well, come on, Twilight, what are you waiting for? Rainbow excitedly clamoured. Show us what you can do. Yeah, old Mr. Gilderoy here says you all got the same power as that Starlight Mare does, Applejack agreed. Let's see it. Oh, well, okay, I guess I'll give it a shot, Twilight said nervously. She decided to simply channel magic into her inner horn without any sort of proper spell to it. Her energy charged and built until she began to puff out a breath of exertion. Still, it didn't feel like anything special, and her friends looked on rather dejectedly. She knew what they were expecting. When Starlight had released her power, even non-unicorns could feel it in the air, but they clearly couldn't with hers. What was she doing wrong? Come on, Twilight, you can do it! Twilight, Applejack joined in. Come on, every pony! Twilight, she's our mare. She can do it because we all care, Pinkie sang. Twilight smiled at the enthusiasm of her friends, and she thought about it. And as she thought about it, she could feel more energy surging through her horn without her own input. Enough that by relaxing herself substantially, she could still feel more power coming from before without her having to expend nearly as much effort. That's when thought struck. Twilight thought of herself as a friend's cheers inspired her, and she came to the realization that she'd done this twice before. Once with Nightmare Moon, who had seemingly won the battle up until Twilight's newfound friends appeared. That was all the inspiration she needed to help them unlock and unleash the elements of harmony at full force, shattering Nightmare's power once and for all. A second time with Discord, who by manipulating her friends' emotions was able to disable the elements of harmony as a whole. But then with a little bit of inspiration and from the princess, Twilight had been able to use the friendship that bound them to return them all to normal. She even remembered the lessons of Heartwarming Eve, when the elements of harmony were first created through the bonds of friendship. Friendship, was that where her magic's power lay? It all made perfect sense now. She'd always figured that the magic of friendship was capable of a great many things. But not that friendship was magic in of itself. I see what you did there, Ganon. She let their cheers soak into her spirit, and the more she felt their love and support, the more power she was able to generate through her horn without any amount of additional effort. It flowed as naturally as a river down a mountainside carried along by an unseen but powerful force. The power grew greater, and Twilight's horn sparkled in such intense light that her friends all had to shield their eyes from its splendour. Twilight opened her eyes at last, the brightness calming down, and her friends gazed upon her with wonderment and pride. Twilight's smile could not have been wider. Gilderoy clapped. "A fine display, Miss Sparkle. There is such incredible power in you." "No, not just in me," Twilight said simply. "In all of my friends as well. That's where my magic is at its strongest, when I have the love and support of my friends." "Well spoken, my dear. Now then, I've helped inform you of your task and clarified a great many things," Gilderoy announced proudly. "And with that, I've brought the light to the nature of your world's plight and that of my own. I've also helped you realize the potential you will have within you, but it's up to you to actualize that potential. I have nothing more to offer you, my little ponies, except the wishes of good luck and of hope. I have great expectations for you all. I have no doubt that fate has indeed brought us all together, and it is with a heavy heart that I must say farewell to the first visitors I've had in centuries." Gilderoy sighed as he drew his wand again. "Hold on, Twilight hastily blurted. We have friends elsewhere in the ruins. We got separated from them when we came here. Is there any way you could help us find them?" "Worry not, dear Miss Sparkle. I have just a little magic. With just a little magic, one can accomplish almost anything. I'll send you near to the exit of the ruins, that they may find you. I give you one final warning before I send you off, though. The Red Death is not to be taken lightly. You have realized your potential, and you may have to drive to actualize it, but the danger there is no laughing matter. The dark magic slaughtered my kind, and they will do the same to you if you are not cautious." "We will be," Twilight nodded firmly. "We have a lot riding on our success. We won't fail, will we, girls?" They supported her with affirmative cheers. "Well then, good luck, little ones. Good luck, elements of harmony." He raised his wand in the air and twirled it around until it glowed a bright blue, and then let loose a torrent of magic that filled the chamber with the brightest white light they'd ever seen before. "Damn it all, another fork!" TikTok grumbled. "This damn lead we had is turning into a real tiresome chore, is what it is. I think we have made a mistake after all. Where in the bloody hell are we?" She looked at her map in every which way she could, trying to find out exactly how they ended up looping back around and find themselves somewhere far northeast of the central hub. "For once I'm with Flathoof," Lockwood breathed as he leaned against the wall. I am much too out of shape to be running around like this for hours on end. There has to be a better way of doing this. What did I tell you? Flathoof panted, collapsing to his stomach. Poor ventilation, breathing the same air for hours is not fun. How in the hell do you do it, TikTok? How do you have so much damn energy? Magic, she said flatly, half ignoring them, half wiping her sweat-drenched brow with her kerchief. Scrolling is... okay. Figures, Lockwood groaned as he flexed his wings. Guess it's back to flying for me. Give my hooves a rest a bit. Lucky jerk, Flathoof grumbled. TikTok was about to start heading left when suddenly her attention was drawn to a map. She literally slammed it into her nose to get a better look. Oh bloody brilliant! Flathoof, Lockwood! I found them! I found them! What? Flathoof blurted, suddenly forgetting his exhaustion and clambering over to her, hurriedly looked at the map himself. Where? Lockwood asked, hovering over her shoulder. She pointed exactly at the far northeast corner of the map, just a few inches on the map northeast of their position, to another unexplored section where they could see the 6 familiar dots and labelled that represented Twilight and the others. They were so close and yet so far. There was no telling how many corridors and twists were separating them now, but at the very least they knew where they were. Drat, Lockwood hummed. Any idea where that section is? What symbol it might be represented by? None at all, TikTok shook her head. Bloody hell, this day just keeps going on and... Hang on, they're moving. Where are they? Further northeast? I wonder, maybe they found an exit? Somehow I scrolled up from going down. That's interesting. Well, that's good news. If it helped us any in getting to them, Flathoof snorted. We need to get moving quickly if we're going to catch up to them. Relax, Flathoof, Lockwood assured him. They won't just leave us in here. Perhaps they found a map as well, and might know we're on our way. Or at the very least, know we have a map and we'll be on our way. Either way, they'll wait. That's all well and good, but how are we supposed to get there? Which way do we go? Flathoof asked, looking along the two possible choices they had, both of which looked completely identical. Northeast. TikTok thought aloud. What's northeast of Goldridge Pass? I can't remember. I don't think I've ever had to deal with any assignments in that direction. Damn, we're going to have to figure something out here. Lockwood looked at the sigil with the various hieroglyphics on it, and pointed at one, a curved marking in a rather odd direction. Here, this symbol. Dwight said one that looked just like this back at the first fork we saw was pointed northwest, right? This one is pointed northeast, and it's on the right side of the sigil too. I say we follow these now, right? Just keep heading northeast, and that would work, right? Seems reasonable. TikTok nodded. What's the symbol next to it? Any idea where we might be headed? Lockwood hummed. I can't tell. It looks like a drop of water. Is that what that looks like to you? Sort of, yes. TikTok nodded. Some sort of reservoir, maybe? The site of a former lake or fountain? Waterworks, Flathoof suggested, looking... Lockwood and TikTok both looked at him with flat expressions. What? What did I say? That might be the first thing you've bloody well said all day that might actually have been of use to us, TikTok joked. Waterworks, of course. Certainly it's a good guess, but why... TikTok was interrupted as suddenly the sigil they were all looking at glowed a very bright purple, and from it dripped a strange golden liquid that struck the floor. The instant it did so, it slid along until it found a small groove in the tiles, where the liquid collected, and then all at once caused the groove to glow. The groove shined for a great distance toward the right, and they could see it also snaked around back towards the path they'd just come from. A pulsing purple light along the groove seemed to be pointing them towards the right path that they'd just agreed upon. How'd you do that? Lockwood blinked. Damn it, TikTok! If you could do that this whole time, Flower huffed. TikTok paid no heed to Flower's agitation. I didn't, but I bet I know who did. She smiled. Come on, guys, we have a new destination. They hastily... God's sake, why is my computer loading and making it lag like I hate the scrolling and the lag. Here we go. They hastily moved along the right path, an eagerness in their step that had long been absent. TikTok was the first around the corner of the next hallway. Even if all the corridors looked the same to her eyes, to her map they were very distinct. And clear as day. The map was displaying a very helpful, I think I'm supposed to say now, displaying a very helpful trail to guide them that followed precisely along the pathway set before them. The zoom was difficult to judge though, and TikTok was so intently watching her map and trying to judge her distance that she ran right into Twilight Sparkle as she rounded yet another bend. Oof! TikTok grunted. Oi, what the... Ow! Twilight groaned. Sparkle! TikTok exclaimed. Oh, thank goodness, you're all okay! Whoa, calm down there, TikTok. Twilight nervously chuckled as she brushed herself off. Relax, okay? I think a better question is, how are you? Where are... Farrah and Lockwood rounded the next corner, winded and sweaty from running at top speed for several more exhausting minutes. Oh, thank goodness, Farrah breathed, putting a hoof over his heart, more to keep it from falling out of chest than anything else. We found them. Oh boy, I need a break. See, I told you they'd be okay. Lockwood smiled as he walked over to Fluttershy. You are all okay, right? Oh, more than okay, Miss Lockwood. Fluttershy nodded with a smile. Are you okay though? You looked, tired? Of course. He smirked. He noticed the bracelet and eyed it with curiosity. Oh, that's a pretty piece you've got there. Do you like it? Fluttershy beamed. I can't wait to tell you all about it. Excellent. Now we can focus on finding a way out of here, TikTok said proudly as she fumbled with her map again. Let's see, I figure if we head around the next corridor, we... Hang on, Tig there. Let me handle that. Applejack smirked as she grabbed TikTok's map. As soon as she did, the map filled itself out entirely, revealing sectors of the city that TikTok and two stallions had missed on their trek through. She pointed at the northeast section labelled Aqueducts. This here is where we're headed. It's the fastest way out. Piece of cake. I take you all found out how to get through then? TikTok nodded. Excellent. Where are we headed? Some place called Red Death, Twilight said nervously. I know it sounds dangerous, but it's the only option we could find, and I believe me when I say we had an excellent advice. Fair enough. Doesn't surprise me. TikTok shrugged. What exactly happened down there, anyhow? Oh, no, it's Flower anyway. Flower fast. Not that I'm complaining, but none of you look worse for wear at all. You all look pretty refreshed. It's a long story. Twilight smiled and called back to the others as she started towards the exit with Applejack. Come on, every pony. We'll talk on the way. Long nothing. Long nothing? This was the longest chapter yet. I just hope 20 isn't this bad. Pinky exclaimed. But this chapter just had to be long, or else my joke wouldn't work. 20 what? Fleur blinked. What joke? Lockwood asked. Don't worry about it. Next chapter. Oh, thank God I'm done with this chapter. It was so long. Ah, goodness gracious me. Well, that was fun. Thank you for listening. Like I said in the update video, uploads will now just be fairly random until the start of the new educational year. But yeah, thank you for listening. I hope you have enjoyed this ever so long chapter that I'm rather glad that I'm finished with. Keep on spreading the magic of friendship, and I'll see you next time.